Welcome to Coalition Conversations, where we bring you insight discussions from CPA staff, members, and at times their businesses. I'm your host, Melissa Tallman, and I'm very excited to be kicking off our second season. CPA will also be launching a new mini-series on our YouTube channel, where each week we'll be looking at name brand importers who claim there were no domestic availability, but were fortunately overruled by the government. Today, we'll be discussing miscellaneous tariff bills, MTB. They're supposed to be a way for American manufacturers to get tariff breaks for their products that are not available domestically. The truth is that this process is used by major brands and retailers with no domestic manufacturing to speak of, importing their finished goods and undermining our domestic producers and their domestic supply chain. With me today is Charles Benoit, Trade Counsel for CPA. Welcome, Chuck. How are you?
I'm great, Melissa. Thanks for having me.
No, but thanks for coming on today. So, Chuck, what do we need to know about the MTBs?
Sure, yeah. So a bit of a history lesson first. And one thing I'll say I kind of like about MTBs is they're a holdover from the olden times before 1934, when Congress was in the driver's seat on setting tariffs. It's really this last holdover. And as you said, the idea was that you'd have a manufacturer in his in some congressional district somewhere, and there's some key input they need in their manufacturing, and we'd have a tariff on it, but it wasn't available domestically. And so they would just go to their congressman and say, look, can you do something about this? There shouldn't be anybody here to defend this tariff because we don't even make this thing anymore. So that was the whole idea. And this has kind of happened on an ad hoc basis ever since Congress handed over its tariff authority to the president in 1934. But in 2016, though, I guess there's a sense in Congress that they were a little uncomfortable with this process. They're like, well, what are we doing here? And they would just take these recommendations and hand it over to Ways and Means. So in 2016, Congress passed the American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act, and the purpose of that act was to organize this whole, what had been behind closed doors on Capitol Hill, make it all very transparent, which is certainly a good thing, and just try and bring some order to it. So what I'll call it the AMCA. What that AMCA did, which we here at CPA, we like this, is hand the process over to USITC, International Trade Commission, and they created actually a really good website. It's very accessible, free to use, where all the petitions go online. And then the second thing, also crucial that they did this, was they actually tasked the Department of Commerce to have a second look at these petitions as they come in, to verify that in fact there's no domestic production, as the petitioner is claiming. So these were two big enhancements. Now, so it created this platform. Okay, but so as the AMCA created this platform, MTB would refer to this cycles. Okay, so that the AMCA authorized 2 MTB cycles, one finished in 2018, one finished in 2020, and in those cycles, that's where businesses file their petitions with the ITC, saying, woe is me, can you cut this tariff because it's not available domestically? Department of Commerce double checks that list. And then the ITC does a lot of technical markup to make sure, you can implement it. And then the ITC doesn't cut the tariff itself. Okay, this is important. It just makes a list of recommendations. Okay, so the ITC will say, we went through this. In these things we found there was domestic production, and these we found that there wasn't. And they don't make any other judgments than that. So if they don't find domestic production, and if they can implement it on a technical basis, and there's certain financial limits, so it doesn't cost the Treasury too much, if those things happen, it'll get like a recommended status, and then they hand it back to Congress. So the 2016 AMCA created that process. The first MTB cycle was in 2018. Then Congress still had to vote on it, so Congress voted on those recommendations. They pretty much did what the ITC recommended and not, but there was a handful additions and subtractions. So there's still some political aspect there. Then the cycle happened in 2020 again. And the ITC finished their report last August. It's available online. Anybody can look at it. Congress has not yet acted on the 2020 MTB cycle. So what we expect to happen likely this year, but maybe not, is for Congress to act on the recommendations from the 2020 MTB cycle, but also, more importantly, or more significantly, they're going to put a new version of the 2016 AMCA, American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act, and that's where CPA is being really active. We're meeting with Capitol Hill offices all the time into trying to make sure we build upon the improvements that went in there. We don't like tariff cutting, so we don't. We ideally in an ideal world we just wouldn't be cutting any of these tariffs, but nonetheless, it's likely going to pass. It was passed unanimously last time. And so we want to let's build on the good things from the AMCA, so the transparency and the Department of Commerce vetting, and go from there. So in terms of like our top, like the key takeaway messages we leave for Capitol Hill is, we say, look, number one is the AMCA was marketed as helping manufacturers, but very, very frequently, the companies, the businesses that are asking for these tariff cuts in the MTBs they don't have any domestic manufacturing processes. So, okay, if we're letting companies that are either just completely foreign manufacturers, or they're retailers, or maybe they're private labels, so maybe it's like an American private label, but yeah, they don't have any manufacturing here and never did, and they just source from white label manufacturers overseas. I mean, these aren't, do they really belong in a statute called the American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act? We would say no. So that's number one. Number one is like, just, yeah, this should only be for American manufacturers. These other businesses come out. Number two is we see examples like where it is American manufacturers, but they're also using the system for entirely finished goods, and that's less ideal. And if the Department of Commerce was perfect in catching instances of domestic production or capable domestic production, then like, okay, but the fact is they're not. At CPA, we represent a lot of custom fabricators, and these people are completely overlooked. When Department of Commerce does domestic availability, they're looking for this thing already in commerce. But the great thing about our custom fab shops is like they're fully tooled. They can make all sorts of things if you call them up and give them an order. But if they get missed. So that's the kind of thing where we say, like, look, we're really focused on supply chains right now. The whole pandemic has brought this to light, and so it doesn't make sense to cut tariffs on fully finished goods. They're not being an input. That's not going to enhance the competitiveness of any manufacturer. It's just going to undermine the case for making things here, and it's certainly undermining all of our jobbers out there who have all sorts of capabilities that go overlooked. So yeah, that's a mouthful. We've got a ton of examples, which I'm eager to be showing, as eager to be profiling in our new little mini series. So yeah, I'm excited to get started on that with you and highlight some of the absurdities. Hopefully that will make the rounds on Congress in Capitol Hill, and bring to light the problems with this program.
Yeah, I know when we start doing the MTB Abuser of the Week on our new mini series, the companies that we're going to be calling out are going to be quite exciting for the simple fact that a lot of them are brand names that we frequently use and see on an everyday, and would never think that they're not seeking American manufacturers to kind of help us out or help those American manufacturers out. So I'm excited for that mini series that we're going to be doing in addition to the coalition conversations. This is just the beginning on the MTB tariffs, right? Like we can really touch base on this within our mini series and on coalition conversations. So Chuck, I'm hoping to have you back on shortly
Yep.
On this platform to discuss more on that. But you can reach Charles Benoit at his CPA address. It's cbenoit@prosperousamerica.org. If you'd like to continue the conversation with him or have any questions, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel in order to stay updated when we go ahead and announce the weekly MTB abusers. We're particularly excited about that. Everybody needs to try harder and support local. Thank you very much, Charles, for joining me today on Coalition Conversations. I look forward to seeing you, the public, next week as I go ahead and have a conversation with David Morse discussing sales factor apportionment and SFA. So thank you very much again, Chuck, for coming on today.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye.